Welcome back to another video live stream. It's going to be very interesting. We have so many things to talk about. I came prepared with segments, and then there are other things. But if you like the video or you like any of my content, including the Ask Tyler video that I did yesterday, it was very good. If I say so myself, I think it was very good. Then make sure to like the video, leave a comment in the chat if it's live or after if it's not. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell. And then if you want to support the channel, the Patreon is the best way to do that. And there's your link right there. And then a bunch of other content. There's always shorts going on, Ask Tyler. Yeah. So how are you guys? It's been a crazy week.
Yeah, been a crazy week of football. I mean, I tweeted it recently, but I started going through Breaking Bad. I've never watched Breaking Bad, so I've been going through that for the first time, and slightly traumatized. It's a brutal show, but it's really good. I just got through season 1. I already got through season 1, so it's been very fun. Breaking Bad is amazing.
It's good fun. It's good fun. Don't let the toxic masculinity get to you. My wife can always tell when I start rewatching it that I'm just not in a good headspace sometimes. It's a great show, but it tells more about where I'm at personally in my own mental health, especially with the characters that I connect with. But it's a great show. I'm glad you're finally getting around to it.
Yeah, I kind of missed on a lot of classic TV movies. Like I just don't I'm not a movie or TV guy very much.
TV was from before you were born.
Yeah, like exactly. I just kind of missed on a lot of it. Like I just missed it, but I'm trying to go back and see some things. And Breaking Bad was one of the things that people have been suggesting to me. So I'm going back and trying to watch Breaking Bad. But yeah, it's really good. But yeah, it's brutal. But it's been very, very fun so far.
Yeah.
Tyler, you ever watch Breaking Bad?
No.
No. I highly, based on the first season, I highly recommend.
I don't know. I don't really, for some reason, Breaking Bad just never appealed to me. I don't really know why. Just kind of didn't. We have one question from Patrick. Thank you for your question, whoever you are. I'm not sure I'm familiar with this Patrick person.
No.
One quarterback trade: Adams, Monty, and 24-second, or Drake London and Cam Akers. I'll take Drake London and Cam Akers pretty easily.
I would as well. Yeah.
There.
Yeah, I would as well.
Good. Well, let's start. I did something unusual. I didn't get around to doing a separate Jonathan Taylor video. Just kind of wasn't in the cards for me. So I figured we'd start out this show talking about Jonathan Taylor and the whole situation. So if somehow you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, like Patrick from SpongeBob, the Jonathan Taylor and the Colts have a big problem. The relationship has collapsed, and now Jim Irsay today further fanning the flames.
What did he say?
Yes, he posted a long tribute to Edgerrin James, kind of implying that it was great in the old days of Colts running backs. How interesting. How interesting. What a wonderful thing to say at this time. But Taylor requested a trade. The Colts said, no, we don't want to pay you, but you're worth too much to us to trade you. So we're not going to do that. And yeah, then there's a whole saga of they're threatening to place Taylor on the non-football injury list. Taylor says he doesn't actually have the back pain that they claim that he had. And then to add to the whole mess, Zach Moss broke his arm in the middle of all of this. So that kind of reduces their backfield depth. What are your guys' takes on this whole situation? Hutch, I know you talked about it on Hooked on Fantasy. I don't remember what you specifically said in regards to Taylor. I know you guys talked about it, but can you remind the people of maybe what you said on there and a little bit about that show in general?
Essentially what I said at the end of the day, I think Taylor's still going to be an Indianapolis Colt, and he's going to play this year. And I think Taylor's going to play this year on his rookie deal and just continue playing. I don't think this is going to turn into anything that much bigger. I know it seems like a lot right now, but we've seen situations like this kind of just lay over, and then in the NFL season is totally fine. I mean, Taylor just has no leverage right now. He just doesn't have any leverage right now, really. I mean, he's still on his rookie deal, and like if he holds out, like that holding out just never leads to anything good on the contract year of a rookie contract. It just never leads to anything good. And they're not willing to pay him. The Colts aren't willing to trade him. Like, he just doesn't have too much leverage. The only thing he really has is that the Colts do need him to succeed, and the Colts do need him for Anthony Richardson. And
that would be nice.
That's a lot of leverage. That's some leverage, but sitting out. But that would mean Taylor, the only way to use that leverage is Taylor would have to be sitting out to prove that.
I don't think so.
I don't
think so. I don't think so. I mean, I think you could, maybe you're a very nice person, Hutch, I think. I don't think this is really your area of expertise, but take it from someone who maybe isn't as nice as you. So, no, we wouldn't know anyone specific. Someone not as nice as you. The contract says he has to show up to work. Doesn't say that he has to try very hard. It doesn't say he has to have a good attitude. Doesn't say that.
Yeah, he could.
Doesn't say anything about a good attitude. Doesn't say that. It doesn't say that he has to be good. It doesn't. What if in the middle of the game, oh no, my knee hurts. I can't do this carry right now. It's you better put the backup in. It's going to be an inconvenience. This optional workout. I'm busy that day. I have things to do. Practice. Yeah. Sorry. There's a little issue. I'm a little tired today. Sorry about that. I'll get around to it at my earliest convenience. Oh, looking at the playbook? No, I don't feel like reviewing that. I'll do that on company time. Extra work at home? Oh, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to do that. This doesn't sound like a good use of my time. I don't want to be here anyway. This would be some inconveniences.
He could play that game, but the problem is the problem is on a contract year, if he goes out in a free agency with that attitude after seeing that for a season, teams are not going to want to be interested in him. Teams are not going to be interested in
true, but it could be such a big distraction. Such a big distraction that can you imagine, we talked about this a lot with other distractions, but you have a nice football team there. Be a shame if something happened to it. Be a shame if there was a distraction all year and nobody wants to, nobody's going to talk about Anthony Richardson or his progress or anything good. All the press you're going to get is going to be about this distraction, about how it's a distraction. That's all the questions you're going to get because at the end of the day, these days, fantasy football drives news. So because if this was a safety, nobody would care. Nobody would care. But because it's a running back, people will care. People will care because there are people who are following this very closely. And it will be a distraction. So if you're obnoxious enough, not that we know anyone who takes that approach. No, nobody we know would ever approve of that.
Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Elijah Moore tried this. It didn't work.
Yeah, it took him an extra year.
It didn't work, but it did work eventually. The problem was that he was still so many years away. He was in the middle of year 2. The team had enough time to wait him out. Whereas now this is not a much more high-profile player.
This is year 4 for Taylor.
Well, yeah, but it's also a more high-profile player. It's not.
Oh yeah. He is.
The media is not going to forget that this is a thing. It's not going to just. Well, nothing is happening. Something is happening. With all the press about running backs, it's not just going to stop being covered, stop being talked about. People will talk about it.
Yeah.
People will talk about it. So until there's a resolution. So there needs to be some sort of resolution because what are you going to do? Talk about it all year? I don't know.
The thing is, though, I feel like this would just be a really, really I kind of said it a little bit. I think this would be a really poor move for Taylor personally. I think it would be a really poor move for him because if going into a contract because he's not going to get a contract with the Colts if he does that. There's no way the Colts are just going to pay him if he does that. That's just
he doesn't want to be there. So
well, he doesn't want to. If he doesn't
want
to
be there,
they're not.
He's not going to want a contract with them. And then he's going to free agency, and they're going to be like, "Well, look what you did all year for this team. Why would we want to give you a significant contract, make you one of the faces of our franchise if you're doing that to a team?" Like teams aren't going to like.
He won't do that. This happens in the NBA all the time. Players torch one team and then another team pays them. That's very common.
You got JT a year off. It's a bad business MVP season.
James Harden's gotten paid for it 4 different times. I mean, I think it's very possible. It happens all the time. I think the teams are very smart. I think that if they can, yes, nobody is going to pay Jonathan Taylor $16 million. Nobody's going to pay him that. If he were a free agent, he wouldn't get that. Nobody's going to pay him that. So that is a reality that he needs to get on. He needs to get into that reality. If his agent is promising him that is a lie. Nobody is going to pay him that. But if Jonathan Taylor were a free agent today, there would be a team, I actually think multiple teams, that would pay him not $16 million and not 4 years of guaranteed money. Would there be a team willing to give the Nick Chubb contract to Taylor? Maybe with a little bit more guaranteed because Taylor's younger when he's signing it. Yes, there would be a team willing to do that.
Right now, yeah. Right now.
So he's not totally crazy in saying that he's going to get a large contract in free agency. So I understand why he's making this move. And I think teams know better, even with a down year. They know how talented Jonathan Taylor is. If anything, they'll see it. Most of the argument against running backs is too much wear and tear. So not having done much for a year is more likely to help him than hurt him in a negotiation. That's why I could see him causing a lot of trouble, because performing well is not going to help if he has to take 350 more carries and do more of this. How do I get rid of this? It's okay.
I'm covered. I don't know.
So it's going to be a big problem, and we'll see how they solve it. I think I floated a solution to the problem. A solution. Here's what I thought was a good solution. And why don't you guys tell me what you think of my solution? They give him an extension at a big number. $15 million a year. $15 million for 2 years. Let's say 2 years. None of it's guaranteed. None of it. So after this year, the the contract fully guarantees on day 3 of the league year. So he either gets $15 million or he gets free agency as of day 3, March 24th of the league year. And then he can try to get the free agent contract that he says. That I think is a good solution. The people didn't seemed like nobody liked my idea. But I thought that was a solution that it takes the franchise tag away. It's a big number, $15 million. You know, it provides either free, and they won't be able to squat on him. That's the other thing. They have to make a decision on March 26th, not July 15th. So I thought that was a good solution that people might be interested in. Yeah. Everyone panned my idea. No one thought it was a good idea. I was trying to get creative and actually present an idea to solve the problem instead of just complaining about it. But, people didn't like that. So maybe I'll just go back to complaining about it.
I think the hardest thing is with a sport like football where one hit can change your life. Mm-hmm. Running backs getting hit consistently 20 times a game with 20 carries can have their lives change on any single hit. They want that guaranteed money. They want that guaranteed money. And I don't think Saquon would say, I don't take that contract and shove it. I want 2 years. I want 90% of it guaranteed, and I want it. That's he sells jerseys. He sells jerseys. He sells tickets. He's the reason people watch the Colts the last 2 years. He was second place in MVP 2 years ago, or was it third place behind the Rodgers-Brady year. He had a legitimate argument in the MVP conversation as he approached 2,000 yards. Someone's going to pay him. He deserves to get paid. He's just as valuable as some of these other positions on the field. and it was more valuable 2 years ago than 30 other NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean,
he has a legitimate argument.
You mean he is literally he is the heart and soul of that franchise right now, and he's the heart and soul of that offense. And they want to say Anthony Richardson's the future, but we don't know what he is going to do as a rookie or his first couple of years.
5 for 13 in training camp today.
What's that?
5 for 13 in training camp today.
Yeah, he did get all the first team reps, but he wasn't
4 for 9 with the first team.
Yeah, he wasn't super effective with the ball. Like Taylor is the future of this offense. I mean, not necessarily the future, but he's the heart and soul of this offense right now. There is nothing else this Colts offense has. If he were to leave, they'd be a complete utter disaster.
Anthony Richardson could develop into a good passer at some point. He's not going to be a good passer in 2023, which is why I'm completely out on any receiver on the Colts whatsoever.
Yeah, no,
including Michael Pittman.
He might be the worst rookie passer we've ever seen. There's a legit case.
That's a lot. There's a lot of them.
High bar.
That's a very high bar. Remember, Ryan Leaf was a rookie passer. That's a very high bar.
Peyton Manning.
I mean, this dude.
Peyton Manning was pretty bad, but I think Anthony Richardson could be worse than that.
Yeah.
Deshaun Kaiser started a lot. Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
There's some really bad ones on that list. So I don't know if I'm going to say that, but he doesn't have to be that. Like if he throws 200 yards, which is, I actually think is very possible. Michael Pittman is not going to be a top 30 wide receiver because he'd have to get like a third of it. And Michael Pittman is not a 33% target share kind of player. He's just not. He's not that level of alpha. Plus they added weapons. They didn't take away by adding Josh Downs. So that's a whole separate story. A good question from Blake. I'm supposed to be letting Patrick take control of the chat. Oh, well. I will let Patrick do that. Patrick, read things.
All right. In Dynasty, which players do you see increasing in Dynasty value by the end of the year? If we can try and do 1 or 2 names each. We'll start with you, Hutch, and go to Ryan.
I think one of those players for me will be Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think he's going to be somebody that's going to significantly increase in Dynasty value at the end of this season.
Doesn't have a lot of room to increase.
Right now he's ranked as my wide receiver 11 in Dynasty. I think he can go higher than that. I think there's plenty of room to go higher.
But yeah.
13, yeah. I mean, a lot of Dynasty rankings have him in like the 15 to 20 range. I see a lot of rankings.
Bad Dynasty rankings.
Those are bad Dynasty rankings. They shouldn't have him there. He should be in the top 15 pretty easily. Like, this is a guy who put up 1,600 yards in college in one season. And I know the Seattle offense is crowded. There's a lot of players going around. But there's an easy out to Lockett's contract after this year. Easy out. Easy out. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Smith-Njigba jumps over him this year.
That's not true. It's not true. They actually restructured his contract. So that's not true.
My bad. I did not see that.
But that doesn't mean that just because he's there doesn't mean that Jackson Smith-Njigba can't surpass him. I mean, Jackson Smith-Njigba.
I did not see the restructure. That's my bad.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I don't know how that happened. But either way, just because Tyler Lockett's going to be there doesn't mean that Tyler Lockett is going to be ahead of him. Veterans stay on teams all the time.
Exactly.
And younger players surpass them. If younger players are really good and are alphas, they don't sit behind. Look, I like Tyler Lockett.
He's great.
He's great. He's very good. He's very good. Very good. He's never been elite. He's never been even near elite, but he's very good. Very good. Jackson Smith-Njigba could be elite.
He can be elite.
It is very possible that, and I have it ranked this way, that rookie year Jackson Smith-Njigba is better than Tyler Lockett's ever been. Tyler Lockett doesn't have any of that big play. I mean, not big play, but like the upside of Jackson Smith-Njigba. He does not have 1,600 yards in his arsenal. He's never done it. And I don't think he never will because he hasn't done it by 30. I don't think he's going to do it in his 30s.
No.
So it's a good name. I will say there's a lot of good names. Generally,
there's a ton.
To give a general guide for this, rookies are usually the ones you want to
Rookies are the ones, yep.
Rookies are the ones you want to look
Marvin
at.
Mims. Who said that?
Not anymore. Not if you re-ranked him.
If you re-ranked him, no, but I've
been saying that the whole time. I've been in on Marvin Mims the whole time. I talked about how he was one of my favorite prospects 4 months ago before we did the draft. I talked about how he was one of my favorite prospects after the draft. I've been talking about how I like Marvin Mims the entire time, how Courtland Sutton is the most overrated wide receiver in the NFL. And I have evidence to back that up. A whole article was done for DLF. I wrote, actually, many articles were done. I've done many different articles talking about the Broncos and Courtland Sutton, and his poor play is very generous. It's very generous to say that. I'll just read you something from my article about Courtland Sutton's alleged performance. Talk about that. So I have some concerns with Sutton's future outlook. The main issue with Sutton's future outlook is his past performance. He is bad. He's finished between wide receiver 43 and 49 in 3 seasons, of which he was not injured for any of those that time. Additionally, in the 24 games he's played with Jerry Jeudy since Jerry Jeudy entered the NFL, 24, not 2, 24, he averages 7.6 PPR points per game. 24, not 2, 24. It's a lot.
It's a lot of games.
More things in 2022, despite Tim Patrick missing the whole year, if you would say, oh, that's going to fix Courtland Sutton. No, it really didn't. Courtland Sutton was, again, horrific. And then, even better, in 2021, when Jerry Jeudy was on the field with Patrick, now Mims, I think we can say, is an upgrade from Patrick. Courtland Sutton averaged 4 PPR points per game in those 10 games. Not 3 games, 10 games. This is a disaster. So, because Courtland Sutton is bad, he's bad. People think he's good. He's not. He's bad. He is a bad NFL wide receiver. He is the worst, actually, wide receiver who has received his level of volume over the last 5 years. The worst. Stone worst. Everyone else is better. He is dead last. So because he is so bad, Marvin Mims is a great name if you got him at the pre-Tim Patrick and KJ Hamler disappearing price. Now I think it's not a secret. Time. Now it's too late. It's too late. This is why you bet on talent. If you look at Marvin Mims, I wrote up the profile for Marvin Mims for DLF. Excellent college production at Oklahoma. Not some nonsense school. Oklahoma is a good school.
Really good school. Yeah.
Good school. Played against good competition.
Big 12.
Great. What is it?
Big 12.
Yes, but it's not, it's not North Dakota State. We didn't mention that for any particular reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now you got it. Took you a second.
Yeah, it took you a second.
I thought
he was great in college. Great college production. The NFL didn't like him as much as other receivers, but he still won in the second round. They didn't like him because he's not as flashy. Doesn't have some of those traits that like a Jonathan Mingo has. But the production's there. And what's the biggest factor to predict production in the NFL?
Production in college.
Production in college. That's right.
Absolutely.
And he has more of that than all the other second-round players. So he's a great name. Unfortunately, now it's too late. But I really wish people had bought at the previous price, because I think you're going to have a big payoff now.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be relevant this year. What choice do they have? What choice do they have? He's going to have to see the field now. There's no one else. He's going to have to step up, and we're going to see. And I think based on his college profile, we're going to see that when he plays in the NFL, it's going to go well. He also doesn't have to worry about being the number one wide receiver. He's not going to be that. So Jerry Jeudy is going to be ahead of him this year. So he's going to have an opportunity to see weaker coverage. He absolutely obliterated that during his time at Oklahoma. So, yes, excellent choice for this one.
Yeah.
I'll throw in one more name. Speaking of college production, but he's a tight end, but going into year 2, Trey McBride.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it seems like there's a little injury problem that I'm reading about now.
There is. It's sad.
Yeah, it's talking about a little injury problem. I don't want to hear about a problem. I mean, that doesn't sound so good. Already a problem.
Yeah.
And there was a problem last year, another different problem. So I'm a little worried about Trey McBride. But there were so many news items. That one didn't make the list. But be aware, he is currently injured in camp. I would look at, if you're looking at a breakout player on the Cardinals, I would look more at Michael Wilson.
That one's interesting too. Yeah, Michael Wilson. Yeah.
He is tearing camp apart. I would look at him. But Trey McBride, I don't want to see an injury already. He's not getting reps. He didn't get reps all of last year. You got to get in practice because he doesn't have NFL experience, really. He barely played. So I don't like to hear about that. But we'll see if it becomes an issue. What about this one?
Hey guys, I'm going back and forth on a trade. I was offered Terry McLaurin in a 2024 first, almost guaranteed top 3 pick in a 10-team league for my Chris Olave. My wide receivers currently are Olave, Kupp, Diggs, Michael Thomas, Ayuk, Rashee Rice. I'm the contender. Do I try and get in the Harrison Jr. sweepstakes or just go for it with Olave? Overall fantasy points, the 2 wide receivers are close.
Well, they're not. Ooh. But they're not going to be close for me this year. But
no.
That aside, I don't really want Terry McLaurin. It's tough.
It's so tough to deny that top 3 pick. That top, like I don't love McLaurin either.
Is it a
Sam
super
Howell
flex?
is extremely concerning. I like Jahan Dotson, but that the Harrison Jr. or Brock Bowers sweepstakes
it does not say.
Yeah. Well, if it's a 1QB,
those two alone will be generational talents. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers.
You're forgetting about Caleb Williams. What?
Some people said that. Some people said that
Williams. It's super flex.
It's a super
flex. Okay. It is super flex. Okay, then Caleb Williams.
You're talking like 1QB.
Yeah, I would. If you're like very sure that that's going to be top 3, I'm okay with it. Because I think that both Caleb Williams is going to come into the NFL being worth more than Chris Olave. There's no doubt about that. No doubt.
Zero. Yep, that's pretty likely.
Caleb Williams is going to enter the NFL.
Startup already?
No, not could. Will. He will go in the first round of startup, just like Trevor Lawrence did last year. Well, I don't.
I'm pretty sure Debbie people are picking him in the first round of startups. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I think I've seen it.
That's not what I would do if I were playing Debbie. But that aside, I think he'll enter once it actually happens. Nothing goes wrong over the next year. He'll enter the NFL as a first-round startup pick. So he'll be worth more. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a significantly better prospect, leagues and leagues above what Chris Olave ever was. So, not even close. So and then maybe there'll be a running back that's on par with Chris or another quarterback, Drake May. He might come in probably on par to Chris Olave or so. So, if you're really sure.
And Brock Bowers as well.
Then I'm okay. Brock Bowers, yes.
If you can guarantee that's a top 3 pick in Superflex, then I'm also okay with it.
I'm fine with it.
But if you're looking like, I don't know. Yeah, if it's a top 3 pick, because you're getting Williams, Bowers, or Harrison. If you can guarantee it's one of those 3, I'm okay with it.
My favorite thing about Brock Bowers?
If not, it's so tough.
My favorite thing about Brock Bowers is that some people said that Darnell Washington was very good. And as I've said this many times, some people were very interested in him. I didn't actually see any Darnell Washington highlights when I was writing my article, but I got mystified by this Brock Bowers person and how he seemed to be the highlight of a video that wasn't even about him. So that was very interesting, and I was very impressed by his play. So I'm very excited to see what he does this year, and I'm excited to have someone beat Kyle Pitts' record of 4th overall. I wouldn't count it out. I really wouldn't.
Oh, really?
I mean, maybe Atlanta made a mistake, but Brock Bowers has already produced more than Kyle Pitts.
He's better, but
no, he's not just better. He's
better.
A lot better.
I'm not saying he's not better. I just think there's no chance with the rest of that class, or at least how it's supposed to shape up.
That's a possibility, but I think that teams just might be interested. Maybe.
Yeah, they might be.
In. Could be. I don't know. Possibly could be interested in someone who had 882 yards and 13 touchdowns as a freshman. They might be interested. Just maybe. that player would be intriguing.
I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying positional value would probably push him down a little bit. He's still going to go upper first. Like,
there has never been a Brock Bowers. Never.
So,
No.
There hasn't, but to go above pick 4,
it would be interesting.
It's insane.
He would have you have
Remember,
Garrett
also about
Williams,
the Atlanta
Drake
Falcons
May,
did it at 4.
and someone.
Marvin Harrison.
I just want it to happen just to excite me. Is that too much to ask? I know it's probably not actually going to happen.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and excite Hutch here. Fly Eagles fly.
Oh, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
that was
whoa.
earlier in the show.
Whoa,
Fly Eagles fly.
Oh, did you know that I have a megaphone now,
No way.
and it has a siren function?
Oh no.
So I can't if with that megaphone, I can't mute your notifications from that. It just automatically.
My notifications are finished. I don't.
Does
check those.
JT's dynasty value take a hit at this point?
Yes,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Has to.
Absolutely.
he's a buy now though, because
Yeah.
I
would
think
agree.
I read
that
an article and said he was a buy, so I feel that.
you did.
Yeah.
I think that is he really going to be the player who doesn't play football again? I doubt it. I think that he's too good to let this happen. I think that the Colts, I don't know what they do. I don't know if they trade, but I think this situation gets resolved somehow. And he'll play again. Some people panic too much in these kind of scenarios.
Yeah, Taylor's absolute buy. Just go find the panic manager and just see what you can get. Absolutely.
All right, so that was Jake, not Mr. Unlisted.
Mr. Unlimited.
I hate
Dobbins or Javonte Williams?
Oh, perfect. I have something to say about this one.
I knew you would.
I
Yeah.
do.
Go
J.K.
for it.
Dobbins is unprepared. He's unprepared to be ready to participate in camp. We can't have that. Now a new injury and a new problem. A contract holdout, another injury. He's not ready. He hasn't participated in anything. We can't have that. That doesn't sound so good.
It's not good.
So that doesn't sound so good. And I think that the Ravens could be interested in exploring some potential options with J.K. Dobbins. We'll see. We'll see. I've heard people are talking about it. They're talking about it. People are talking about the Ravens not feeling so good about J.K. Dobbins. He's not going to get a contract extension. This is not like Jonathan Taylor. The Ravens are not extending him, period. This is like Miles Sanders. This is like Miles Sanders going into the last year. If Miles Sanders had been willing to take X number, which I can guarantee you was very low from the Eagles, he would still be there. But I think the Ravens are taking the same approach. We will pay you X. We're not going to franchise tag you. I don't think they think J.K. Dobbins is worth the $11 million franchise tag. I think they'll just let him walk. You don't have to franchise tag a running back. You don't have to keep it. So I don't think J.K. Dobbins is in their future plans, to be honest.
Dobbins has been a distraction.
Well, he's been more than a distraction. I mean, there's a lot of delays. A lot of delays. Last year, he said he would be ready for week 1, and he was not ready. He told a big lie. He lied to the people, and he lied to the media. Total lie. He knew he wouldn't be ready.
For no reason.
Well, Bastian Rappaport, he knew he wouldn't be ready. He knew, but he wanted the attention. So he told a big lie, and now he's not there. So usually I'm all on the side of players, but I would just appreciate
not Dobbins.
more honest accounting of your actions. And J.K. Dobbins has not done that. So I'm very concerned. There are going to be some major issues. Now, on the other side, Javonte Williams. Now, he still doesn't look good. If you actually watch the highlights from camp, he doesn't look good. But he's going to play. He's going to play week 1. He's doing all the drills. And not like J.K. Dobbins was in 2022. Like, he's really doing all the drills. He's fully participating. He's gonna play week 1.
All things show that he's been fully participating in camps and training camp and all that stuff. He's been fully
not participating very well.
He doesn't. Yeah, I agree.
He looks a little little gimpy.
He looks how J.K. Dobbins looked in that one big run last year. He was running on one leg.
That's actually a great comparison.
Yeah.
But Javonte Williams is younger. So I'll go with Javonte Williams in Dynasty. Sure.
Yes.
In redraft, I have J.K. Dobbins. I moved him significantly down since this saga began. He opened my rankings, I think, at 18. He's now down at 24. I have Javonte Williams one spot behind at 25. So kind of both in that running back dead zone in redraft I don't want. I have Dobbins one spot higher for now. Let's see how it proceeds. But in Dynasty, I'd rather have Javonte Williams just because that year and a half of age is everything.
What about Jameel McLaughlin, a running back in Denver?
So you want to talk about people. People are talking about Jameel McLaughlin. Actually, many different people. I saw 4 different Denver reporters, including Cecil Lammey, who's obviously we all know. But other ones, many reporters were talking about it. They're saying that he's the most impressive player in camp. Now, obviously hyperbole. But there is not much of an obstacle for him to be the RB3 on the team, right? I mean, Javonte is number 1. Samaje Perine 2. But 3 is like Mike Boone. And Mike Boone sucks. We all know that. I think he's on track to make the team. It's been multiple articles about him, many different discussions about how he's doing well, multiple days too, not just one good day, many good days. So when you hear it multiple times, then we take notice of that. So I actually added him. I did my Patreon rankings update today. I added him to my rankings today. And I think he's someone to keep an eye on if, Javonte has a setback or something. A setback could happen. Always possible. He's someone to keep an eye on. I have not heard a lot of good Samaje Perine news from camp. Has anyone? I haven't heard that. I have not heard that Samaje Perine is very impressive.
I thought I heard he was dealing with some injuries.
Well, that doesn't sound so good.
I'm looking to confirm that. Give me a second.
I haven't heard about that. I just haven't heard anything good. It's not been Samaje Perine is excelling. I haven't heard anything about that. What I've heard is that Jameel McLaughlin is the one that's opening eyes. That's what I've heard. That's the story. When you read, I just read another story here. It says, talking about the running backs, nothing to say about Javonte or Samaje Perine, but the whole article is about the running back section of the article is all about Jameel McLaughlin. So
interesting.
Why don't we see? It's a good person. Add him in your dynasty leagues. He's unrostered. I've made this announcement in my Patreon, and apparently they couldn't even find him on Sleeper. They had to do a little investigation to find him, to add him to the roster. He's rostered in like 1% of leagues. This is an opportunity. Now, I got my dynasty. I don't want to get my dynasty fame from this, but I got my dynasty start actually from Philip Lindsay. Philip Lindsay was the first undrafted low sleeper player that I ever added in Dynasty in my life. It was the first year I played Dynasty, 2018. So I do have experience with the Broncos backfield, and a lot of the vibes are similar to how it was 5 years ago. So something to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Ed.
It is taking forever to... Oh, sorry, double click. Lovely old laptop from a doctor's office. We got Kennedy saying, take the trade, then try and move Terry. Absolutely. Wait for week 1, week 2, and you can probably get a good haul for Terry right there. But also, if you're still contending with that team, still make that run. You still got a top 1 to 2 or 3 pick. And if it's looking very promising later on, and you feel like you're a half a piece away, sell that guaranteed top 3 picks. Someone will give you a king's ransom for it at the trade deadline.
I don't hate Terry. I just wish he were. I wish he were 2 years younger.
Yeah, Bowers is going to be a monster in the NFL. Gator got St. Pat and Hutch on the same show. Tyler gets all stars.
You act as if this is the first time that's ever happened.
Gator's just finally tuning in with us over here at Dynasty Answers.
There have been many, many times where they've been on the same show.
Mm-hmm.
Can someone help me with my Roman numerals? What Super Bowl is that? Is that 57?
57.
Oh, no, 57. Yeah.
57. Eagle Tears 212.23.
Your Roman numerals are like me and diesel fuel.
Diesel. I can't get over that.
The blue bedroom has got to go. All right.
You know what I think of that?
Ooh.
The people have spoken. The people have spoken. He's got to go.
Uh-huh.
And back to the
Oh
stream.
my
There we go.
Yes.
I'll just stay in pure blue.
I love it.
All right. JT to the Chiefs. Tyler, please call Andy Reid and tell him to make the
They'd
move.
be able to undo the mistake
No.
of drafting a Hilaire over him.
Yeah, they'd be able to undo it. So actually, unfortunately, I did actually talk to Mr. Reid, and he said that he's not interested in adding to his running back room at this time. I'll make sure to deliver your message. Don't worry, I have his number.
Will the Ravens keep JK if he has a great year this year?
No, they won't. Doesn't matter. It's like Miles Sanders. It did not matter. Didn't matter that Miles Sanders had the best year of his career in year 4. The Eagles still didn't keep him. This is the same situation. They will not keep him. He's not in their plans.
Ryan, I want to get your thoughts on this one first as we get going. Ayuk is getting a lot of hype. What do you think his floor or ceiling is with Purdy starting?
I mean, he's a valued ADP right now. I mean, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
It's just he's going to get thrown the ball a lot his way. I think he's the wide receiver one. I'm going to be honest. I think he's better than Debo. Just going to throw that out there.
As a wide receiver, I think it's possible, yeah.
I think it's the 2020, the pre-2021 debate of Ayuk or Debo. Everyone thought it was clear-cut Debo, and I think it's coming back around to it's actually Ayuk.
Round
And
6.
He was just a top 15 receiver last year in PPR scoring. And then in the second half of the year prior, after he got out of the doghouse, the second half, he was a top 15 receiver in that stretch as well in PPR. Like, this dude just nonstop produced over the last few years, even with tons of quarterback drama, even with all that, even with Debo and Kittle on and off the field, even with McCaffrey now being signed. It doesn't matter. Ayuk has been a dominant force in fantasy, and his ADP outside the top 30 receivers is mind-boggling to me. I will continue to pick him forever. I love Ayuk as ADP. It's too nice.
Tyler, agree, disagree?
Ayuk is great, but his ceiling, I don't know. I mean, wide receiver 15-ish is probably about right. Without injuries. If someone were to go away, his ceiling's higher.
The only argument is his ceiling. It's pretty low. That offense with the passing volume and all the other weapons around it makes his ceiling a bit low.
I have him ranked at wide receiver 23 in redraft.
If you draft him at wide receiver 33 and he hits like wide receiver 20.
Well, I have him at 23.
Yeah, if you draft, but he's being drafted like wide receiver 33 right now.
I've never understood that.
If you draft him there and he finishes like wide receiver 20 to 24, you're happy with that. Like, you're very happy with that. There's not many wide receivers you could say.
I have started to realize that it's very difficult to have Deebo Samuel at wide receiver 18, Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver 23, George Kittle at tight end 4, Christian McCaffrey at RB1, and Brock Purdy at quarterback 22. That's actually very, very difficult.
I think I saw a tweet like that yesterday, where it's like one of these things cannot be true.
Mm-hmm.
It is
tough, man.
I looked at it. It is possible if no one else does anything. It is possible for that all to be true. It's not likely. So
I mean, Purdy. I mean, looking at his stretch in the 6 games, like I think he did have a really high touchdown rate. If I'm not wrong, I think he did a pretty high touchdown rate. But overall, he was really good for fantasy. Looking at his games, like I believe he had 3 QB1 finishes in that stretch.
Purdy was QB 11 during games he was active.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah,
That's pretty solid.
He's not going to be quarterback 22, and all of those
QB 22 is probably QB 22 is happen. As long as he starts the season, QB 22 is probably a value.
That's his floor.
That's probably his floor. His ceiling is probably around QB 15.
And I don't need Purdy to throw 50, 60-yard bombs. I need him to complete the passes that are laid out for him in Shanahan's offense.
Yep.
Where he has to make one read, throw the ball, or dump it off.
The reason I've raised the 49ers in my rankings is also because it looks like Trey Lance will never go in, which is good.
Yeah,
because you don't want Trey Lance to go in.
Did you see the video today that's been circling around Twitter? Trey Lance making that just like there's a Trey Lance video circling out like he's doing like some some stepping drills and he throws, and the trainer just like reaches up and it's like way over his head, and the trainer just like is disappointed. He has it like disappointed, like just clap like ugh, and it just flies over his head. It was such a
There are
horrible video.
still people who
Horrible
say
throw.
that Trey Lance is going to start week 1.
He's
No.
not. No, he's not.
No, but there are
starting.
still people who say it.
It's
There are still
ridiculous.
people who say it, and it's the funniest thing
He's
to
not
me
gonna start.
is people
He's not
say
gonna-
this. Like they say that Trey Lance is going to start week 1. I even heard someone say that Trey Lance is going to start because the 49ers need to showcase him to trade him. And I'm like, this is not how the NFL works.
No,
That's not. There are only 17 NFL games. That's not how it works. That might be how the NBA works, but that's not how the NFL works. That was one of the silliest things I've ever heard, and shows that there's a huge disconnect between.
They can't even afford to mess
Fantasy and
around like
real
that.
life
They're
team.
trying to win a Super Bowl. They've got a team.
I think
with
that
a-
it's more likely that Trey Lance
can't
is
mess around.
gone by week 1 than that Trey Lance goes in this year.
I think at this point in training camp, you stop giving Trey Lance touches, and you make sure that he does not get injured, and you wait
see if you get an
you wait.
offer.
until someone goes down. Someone will. Someone's backup quarterback or their starting quarterback will go down. Wait for that call.
Yeah, I just think it's the kind of thing where, like, yes, they could squat on him forever. They are paying him not nothing. They're paying him like $8-9 million a year. They're already paying another backup quarterback who they're very comfortable with. I think that if they could get, at this point, what is it going to be? I mean, a 3rd round pick probably you're looking at.
They were being offered a 5th.
Well, they're not going to. Yeah, they're not going to take that. But
No.
if that 5th could become a 3rd, maybe. I just don't know what even team. I don't think any team as currently constructed would be interested. But if there's an injury, I think there would be teams that could be interested.
Imagine if like the Raiders went for him and they just brought. If Jimmy Garoppolo gets hurt and the Raiders brought him in with Jimmy Garoppolo,
That would
and
be
Traylon
funny.
again on the same team.
That would
That'd
be funny, but I don't.
Imagine if
foresee
Jimmy
that.
G gets hurt and they bring in Trey Lance to start for him.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
I
and then
don't-
they could take they take the last guy picked in the draft of this year and they bring him in when Trey Lance inevitably goes down. And he
Did they
leads
take
him
a
to
quarterback
the.
in this draft? Hold on. Did they take a quarterback in the
I
draft?
don't think so.
I don't think so, right? They know they didn't.
Do we care at all about Kenny McIntosh with the Hawks backs being banged up? We got a chance to talk some news here as well that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, both
Yeah, this
Kenneth
is
Walker
brutal.
and Zach Charbonnet are injured. I have
No
some
fun.
takes on that. Of the two, Zach Charbonnet is far more hurt, and it's
He
far more
is.
concerning.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
It's far more concerning. Kenneth Walker, now, I never want to believe Pete Carroll when it comes to injuries, but
No.
just
never.
given how Kenneth Walker, I don't believe him when he talks about how serious an injury is. But when we look at what the two injuries are, like a groin injury can only be so serious. Like, even if it's the worst case scenario, Kenneth Walker is going to be ready week 1. Whereas, unless Pete Carroll's just lying about what the injury is, which he doesn't tend to do. The problem is always that it's always sunshine and roses. Now, where I'm suspicious is Zach Charbonnet. We're talking about the shoulder popped. That's what the phrasing, and it was just a little issue is what he said. It's not a little issue. A shoulder popping in the middle of a practice and then he can't continue during that practice. That's not a little issue. That's
No.
a big problem. And the problem also is that Pete Carroll is reluctant to trust rookies. I mean, Kenneth Walker only got the starting job because Rashad Penny went down. When Rashad Penny was healthy, he was the starter. So Zach Charbonnet, I am worried about. I'm worried that he's going to sit out camp. Then he's not going to get to play in the preseason. Then he's not going to have a role week 1.
Mm-hmm.
So Zach Charbonnet, I have moved down my redraft rankings. I had him at like running back 32. Now he's down to running back 37. And he's going to continue dropping until he reappears on the field. Because I just can't wait 4 weeks of someone not playing in redraft at that high of a level. He'd have to be in the 40s to be worth taking if it's going to be a lengthy delay.
Yeah.
When it comes to Kenny McIntosh, I am hearing good things in camp. I think that Kenneth Walker will be the beneficiary, as in if the plan was 60% Walker, 40% Charbonnet, or really the Seahawks always involve 3 backs. So if the plan was 60% Walker, 30% Charbonnet, 10% everyone else, let's say was the plan, I think the new plan will be 80% Walker and 20% everyone else. So actually, if Walker would be the beneficiary more than the other guys,
Absolutely, yeah.
if Charbonnet is out, Walker would be a workhorse.
We basically look at Walker what he was in his rookie season.
Exactly.
Pretty much a 3-down back. And at that point, he's going to be really good for fantasy.
The only reason I didn't move Walker up is because he's hurt too. So I'd like to see him be healthy.
Yeah.
Before I move him up in my rankings. But he'll move up if he's cleared and playing in the preseason and Zach Charbonnet is nowhere to be found. Walker will move up to being a borderline RB1 in my redraft rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. He should be. Yeah.
I do really like what Pete Carroll had to say about Kenneth Walker's injury. It makes me feel as a Kenneth Walker manager that if we had a game this Sunday, Kenneth Walker would be playing. I fully believe
Pete Carroll said that though.
Yep. He's listed as week to week, but I think it's more of all right, we don't want to make this injury any worse. We felt something. Get him some more stretches, get him some more massages. He'll be fine to go. I'm not worried about it. Yeah, lower his workload. He knows the playbook. He's been around. Let's go.
I think if this Sunday were a playoff game, Kenneth Walker would play.
100%.
100%.
No chance that Charbonnet would play though.
No. Charbonnet, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's the Super Bowl. Charbonnet would not.
I don't like the word indefinitely.
Indefinitely is a long time.
That word
There's a big difference between a little while and indefinitely. And also, Pete Carroll is always sunshine and roses. So if Pete Carroll is saying, "Well, I have no idea," that is some people are taking it a little too far, saying, "Oh, he's going to be out for the year." I don't. How serious could the shoulder be hurt to be out? It's very hard for a shoulder injury to be. You can wear a flak jacket, a flak jacket and like a shoulder. I actually have one in my freezer. Shoulder compression sleeve. You should be able to play through it at some point. So it's not season ending, but it could hamper him more so than keep him out is the problem. Same injury Dalvin Cook had that needed to be corrected this offseason, but it nagged him for years.
Caused many fumbles.
So to circle back and conclude this question, do we care about Kenny McIntosh? I'm going to say yes, in that you should add him off Dynasty waivers if he was there. He probably wasn't, though.
No, he's probably rostered.
So I wouldn't pay anything for him.
Yeah, if he's worth a dart throw, it's fine, but just don't overpay.
Someone on your team, in your league will. And so if you want to get a free 4th-round pick for him, because you beat everyone on the waivers, go for it.
The thing is, he has no path to actually being involved long-term without injury, so he's not my favorite of the running back stashes. The path just isn't there. I'd rather have someone with a playing time path over someone who's only an injury.
He doesn't have a playing time path outside of injury.
Karina is just a jag.
I agree with that.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Anytime a rookie gets a chance to play, I care.
Yeah, he should be added off any Dynasty waivers.
Thing is, I mean, if he Pete Carroll has shown us that it doesn't really matter draft capital, like it doesn't really matter. He's kind of established the point where if you're good, you're gonna get thrown in, and if you're better than the other guy, you're gonna get thrown in. If McIntosh really proves himself,
but we know that he likes Walker already.
But
we know that he loves.
We know that he loves Walker. We know that. At least they seem to like Charbonnet. They drafted in the second round. So yeah, I think it's very unlikely. But if he comes out and really proves himself, there's a world where he gets a role in the offense.
There's also a rookie in the Jets that's making a lot of noise.
Yeah, Jason Brownlee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so interested in him.
I'm not either.
No, not at all. All right. Keeping it moving. Deion Jackson, Zamir White, or D. Prince for the back end bench stash. I only have 2 spots available.
Prince is the only one that's made noise in camp. He's the only one that might get a starting role this year. Give me Prince. The other 2 just don't interest me at all.
Yeah, I go for White and then Prince. There are examples of a 4th-round pick not doing much and then coming out the second year and being better. For at least he has some draft capital. Prince is tearing camp apart. He's been really good. Deion Jackson was 4th on the depth chart before this all started. He wasn't going to make the team. So I have no interest in Deion.
We were asked if Deneric Prince is a thing, and PJ Kennedy says, yes, Prince is going to impress this year.
Well, let me
get all the shares of him now.
I'm going to say one more thing about Deion Jackson. If this really all blows up, Zach Moss can't play, Jonathan Taylor refuses to play, they will have Ezekiel Elliott or Leonard Fournette or both on the plane very quickly.
Oh, yeah, they will.
Deion Jackson is nothing. Deion Jackson has no path.
All right, we got a trade. Start 8, 12 team, 1 quarterback. give the 105, 107, and 108 and a 24 first and get Bijan.
Whoa.
I'll take Bijan in the 1 QB for sure.
Yeah.
You're looking at QJ, Kincaid, Addison, or Flowers.
Yeah, I'll take Bijan.
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, the fact that it's a 1 QB makes those pick a lot less valuable. Because at 105, you're at 105 and it's super flex. You could be looking at someone like JSN or Gibbs, but that's not really possible anymore. And you're probably looking at QJ or Charbonnet at 5, or one of those two even at 7 maybe, and then Flowers or something like that at 8. Yeah, no, yeah, Bijan. It's Bijan.
My biggest lesson in my 1 quarterback leagues this year has been how much that drop off usually is from the top tier.
Oh yeah. After
so
Gibbs, JSN, and Bijan, it's kind of like, whoa.
If you're contending and you feel like, all right, I'm sending away this 23 versus 24 first, and it's got a value tag on it of, oh, it's the first, and you look at it, it's like it's not actually as great as you think it is.
It's not.
I can see the rookie Hall moving ahead of Deion Jackson for
He
the
already
passing
is.
game work.
He already is. He took reps ahead of Jackson before this all started, so he already is.
Yeah, he already is.
That's why I have no interest in Jackson, because Hull is ahead of him. Let alone Moss was ahead of Jackson too. So no interest in Jackson.
Would you give Jordan Madison in a 24 second for Jonathan Taylor and a 24 third?
So Madison, that's one of my news articles, was limped off of practice today. Keep an eye on that. Just make sure it's nothing serious. Assuming he's fine, let's say, for the parameters of the trade, I would lean Taylor.
I would as well.
Taylor's
I'm
worth more.
not in on Madison at all. He's gonna flop this year.
I actually probably have Madison higher than most, but
I'm not confident at all.
Just because, you have to rank him somewhere, but.
I love Addison this year, though. I love Addison this year. I think he's going to be fantastic. And I think he's someone, earlier question where Dynasty risers, I think he could be one of those players. But Madison is a flop to me. 24 seconds, a big question mark. I'll take Taylor in the third.
Taylor,
but
Addison scares me a little. I just don't know. I don't know if he has the I just hate landing on the team with Jefferson. Because he's going to. It's not. We're talking about someone you can't surpass. You're talking about the best wide receiver.
No, never.
There's no surpassing Justin Jefferson. So that's not going to happen. And then on top of that, you're talking about a team who has not extended their quarterback. And it's the best case scenario is that Kirk Cousins stays there.
Yeah, that's best.
So I have some concerns with Addison.
And Kirk Cousins is very serviceable, though. I don't understand, it's a high volume passing offense since they drafted.
Right. The best case scenario is that it stays what it is. The problem is that Kirk Cousins, I'm reading between the tea leaves, is not going to be there in 2024.
No, he's not.
You know where he's going to be, though?
San Francisco.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly where he's going to be.
that
That's why I've stopped raising Brock Purdy's price. It's now the time where Brock Purdy is at the right price, and it's any more negative news doesn't raise Brock Purdy anymore, but it does lower Trey Lance more. But I'm a little scared of that because we know that Kyle Shanahan has a love affair for Kirk Cousins. And if you want to talk about the best quarterback to run the Kyle Shanahan offense,
it's Kirk Cousins.
There's none better. There's none better.
You like
immobile,
that?
Immobile statue.
He could be a top 8 fantasy quarterback in that offense. He would be so good.
He's immobile in unrun, and he can execute that type of delivery offense better than anyone that Kyle Shanahan has ever had. So he is the pinnacle of that archetype. So I wouldn't rule that out.
No, not at all. Yeah, the thing is, the Vikings, they're not gonna have the draft capital next year.
They're in cap space problem.
The free agent quarterback class is no bueno. They have the cap space problem, but they just have no other options besides Kirk Cousins. They might be forced into a situation where they have to sign Kirk Cousins because they just have no choice.
Well, Kirk Cousins doesn't have to sign with them.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't have to.
He's on the last year of his contract. They cannot tag him.
No, they
A
can't. They'd have to sign
third
a big
tag
contract.
would be north of like 70 million.
They can't do that.
So they can't tag him.
They'd have to sign
So
him to a real
they're
contract.
yeah. So he has all the leverage and they have none. If he hits free agency, even at his age, he'll get 50 to 60 million a year for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, he'll be there.
So following up on that question for the trade for the 101, if the 101 owner won't budge, how many of those picks would you give for the 102?
For the 102, I'd need to take
Near Gibbs.
something out. Actually, probably multiple things.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs is a little bit of a step below, but not much to me, honestly. I think if you take out, like, I'd probably be willing to. I think I might be willing to pay the 3 first this year for him.
Yeah, for me, I'd
I think
rather
I'd be
do
willing to
that. Maybe.
and keep the 24 first.
In a 1 QB, QJ and a 24 first. That's a little light, but it's not that light to me.
That could get it done.
I'd need. Yeah, so I'd be willing to do that. Or I'd be willing to do the 105 and one of the 107 or 108. I don't think I'd be willing to do 3 of those things, though. Maybe 107, 108, and 24 first. Maybe I'd be willing to do that.
I'd start 105, 108.
I agree. I would start with
that. Yeah, I agree
think
with both of you.
maybe if you get a little piece back, I'd be willing to get all 3 of those first. I'd be willing to give it. I'm all in on Gibbs though. Like Gibbs is a guy. Like if Dalvin Cook signs with the Jets, Jahmyr Gibbs will definitely be my RB2 in Dynasty.
He already is for me.
He's already RB2.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. I've been considering it moving over.
But I'm starting to change how I do Dynasty rankings full stop, in that I think I have almost all of the running backs at the top too high, and that things might need to change. Like in 1 QB, Jahmyr Gibbs is my RB2, but he's 10th overall. I have 8 wide receivers ahead of him. So it's a little bit of a process change there.
What do I have? Yeah, because I'm trying to see where I have.
Let's go back to let's go to this one.
I'm at the same. I have 7 wide receivers.
That's where we're headed next. Yep. Another great show, guys. What are your thoughts on Dameon Pierce? Any chance of being a viable RB2 this year?
Yes.
Yes.
I have him ranked at 20.
I think it's fair. I mean, Dameon Pierce, we saw the talent last year. Like, he really has it. He's such an aggressive runner. He is one of the, like, watching him last year, he's one of the most aggressive runners in football. He has that anger that almost no other running back can match. And Devin Singletary being at the offense is definitely more impactful than some people like to think. Devin Singletary was a really solid back in Buffalo. He's very effective with his touches. But the thing is, this Houston team, with the additions they made on defense, with their head coach, their coaching staff, it looks like this might be a team that runs the football a lot, tries to play good defense, and keeps CJ Stroud comfortable for his rookie season, especially with the receiving core they have. So you might just want to have pieces of this running game because it might be a super, super run-heavy offense, in the point where both these guys could potentially be relevant. I think Pierce as an RB2 is fine, but I'm nervous about Singletary taking some touches because Pierce isn't a strong pass catcher. He's not guaranteed to get that work in the offense. So that's what, if he was more guaranteed for that, I'd be more in, but he's not.
Yeah. The issue is that even though
I think he can pass catch, he looks fine last year doing it, but he's not a guy that you need to get those touches to.
He's another example of how I'm moving away from the running back in Dynasty. He's my RB20 in Dynasty, but 68th overall in 1 QB. So, I have, I believe, 34 wide receivers ahead of him. So I have my wide receiver 34 in Dynasty ahead of my running back 20.
Would you, if you're a Jonathan Taylor manager or a Josh Jacobs manager, would you give a 24 first for him if you think your team's
for Dameon Pierce?
For Dameon Pierce.
Only if it's opposite day. So absolutely not.
Yeah,
I won't give a Dameon. Dameon Pierce could have an RB2 season and be replaced next year.
Yep, very easily.
So I'm not so interested in him.
They signed him compared to a 1-year contract, right? Or they signed 2?
I don't think that matters.
It doesn't. It's irrelevant.
I think it was 1 year, but I also don't think it matters.
The dead cap would be minimal.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that they have a first and second round. I mean, they don't have their own pick, but they still have Cleveland's pick, and they have a regular second, a third, and 2 fourths next year. They could easily pick someone in the second or third to supplant.
They could, yeah.
Or someone in the fourth to mix up the backfield. So or a free agent.
No, I'm saying like because if Singletary's gone, it does give them more. Like it does incline them more to draft a running back. Because if you have Singletary, you could use him more if they sign to a 2
I still think even Pearson Singletary is not that great. I think that's a room that's weak. I think that's weak.
Good,
I think that's one of the weakest running back. It's up there with the weaker running back room. It's weak. Yeah, Pearson Singletary is weak. If you don't have anyone to use as RB3 at all, I think it's weak. I think it's a room that could, like, if I said that you had, just to give you an example, if I said you had Pierce, Singletary, and Donta Foreman, say, I think you'd feel a lot more comfortable with that running back room than if Pierce is a running back 1, it's bottom half. Singletary as a backup for me it's not great. I mean, it's a bottom half backup, no RB3 at all. That room's weak. It could use another veteran or something else, another actual young player. So I don't know. They're a team that I would not rule out. They haven't been mentioned much, but I would not rule out looking at Ezekiel Elliott. I wouldn't rule it out, or someone like Leonard Fournette. I wouldn't rule it out. They're a young team, and Ezekiel Elliott especially is one of the best pass blockers as a running back in the NFL. He's very good at that. He can't do anything in the receiving game, but he's very good as a pass blocker. So,
10th round keeper, Madison, Godwin, or Rachaad White?
I think I need a little bit more information. It's half PPR, and then.
Ooh, man, I'm just gonna go and throw it. I'd rather have Rachaad White than Madison, so it's not Madison.
Oof.
It's not Matt. I seriously would believe in their talent.
For me, I think it's just Godwin. I'll just take Godwin. I don't think I really
I would
want
as
the
well.
running backs.
It's Godwin, White, Madison for me.
I feel like if any receiver on this Bucs offense is gonna be successful, it's gonna be Godwin. I personally am betting on Baker Mayfield just throws the open guy, and that's not Evans. Evans is not.
In
open.
half PPR, I like White a lot less.
Ed agrees with Rachaad White, but Godwin as our first person we want for you, Brian.
Godwin for sure.
Yeah, I
There's
don't
an
like
upside
Madison
with
either.
Godwin that Godwin could just beat the odds and be a wide receiver 1. It's unlikely, but it's possible.
He could volume his way there. Yeah, I think he might be Mayfield's favorite target this year. I think that's very, very plausible.
Well, I think he will be because Mike Evans doesn't get open.
Very
and
plausible.
Baker Mayfield doesn't throw.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I
Barn
just said that. Yeah, I just said it a second ago. Yeah. Godwin's the one that gets open.
So as we've caught up with the chat,
yes. So now I'll take us into the some of these things.
Do this.
Yeah, I'll take us into that. So the title of the show was Redraft quarterback and tight end. Let's start with one of Hutch's quarterback takes. It says here, Kirk Cousins. The Vikings have increased pass attempts each year since they drafted Justin Jefferson. Now it's 1 full year of Hawk, Addison added, and Dalvin Cook is gone. Kirk is set to take off. So tell us a little bit more about your take on Kirk Cousins. Where do you have him ranked, and anything else you want to add about that?
I mean, I don't actually. It's funny. I don't do like official like redraft rankings. But if I were to look at all the quarterbacks ranked, I mean, I'd have him ranked as a top 12 quarterback pretty easily. I mean, I'd probably take him around QB 10, and I think he has plenty of upside to go higher than that. I mean, looking at this passing offense this year, it's looking like it's going to take off. Their defense is still horrific. It's not getting any better than it was last year. And with all the weapons in this offense, Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, I'm a big believer in Addison. KJ Osborne's a very solid player. This Vikings offense set to take off. And we know, look, Kirk's on the last year of his contract, right? We know what Kirk likes to do on the last year of his contract, on 1-year deals, on franchise tags. He likes to ball out. And I think he's going to put the Vikings in a really tough spot next year on extending him or letting him go. I think he's going to make a really good case for himself. And I'm really, really excited for Kirk Cousins this year. I honestly think he is a really completely, if you want to take a complete dark horse, like a dark horse shot, just shot in the dark, dart throw, MVP candidate, I think Kirk Cousins is there. I think he's actually there.
Candidate.
I think, no, I
The
actually
Vikings
think
are going to be under 500.
I think
don't
he's
see
actually
that.
there. What? No, their offense is going to carry them enough.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
not listening.
Robin's
You're
gonna
not,
carry
you're
them
not
enough.
listening to what the Vikings are telling you. The Vikings are telling you they're rebuilding. The Vikings are going to be under 500.
Really?
Their team's been ripped to shreds. And they had a negative point differential last year. And their team is much worse. Overall, top to bottom, it's significantly worse.
The Pittsburgh
Oh.
Steelers.
Yeah, they're going to be under 500. They're telling you they're rebuilding. If you even listen to what the GM said. He basically said as close to the line as you can say to I'm rebuilding without saying I'm rebuilding because you get fired for that.
Yeah,
you can't say that.
those
But
comments
he
weren't
basically
fun.
said that. I think they're not going to be so great. That doesn't mean I think Kirk Cousins is going to be bad. Because if they're losing, I actually think he could be better.
Yeah, for
But-
fantasy, it makes him even better.
But
But
MVP,
true,
though,
MVP
because I think they're
MVP
going to
is
be
tough.
under 500.
yeah, so I think it's
yeah.
complete dart. Like, I mean, look, because I think their offense could carry them. To
Better
some
dart
wins
throw
before
lead
they can get-
lead the league in passing yards. That
Oh,
would
yeah.
be a better. That would be a better
Absolutely, yeah,
dart
he's up
throw
there.
bet.
Yeah, he's absolutely there.
But
Hey,
MVP, no.
Definitely could break 5K.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
a dart throw for
Yeah.
that.
That could be a fun bet. Ooh.
I will say though, since he
Yeah,
doesn't
you can bet on
run,
that.
and I do think there is a downside with Kirk Cousins. There is a bad universe. We've talked about the good universe. I think there is a bad universe. We've seen what Kirk Cousins is like when things go wrong. It's not good. There's a bad universe that people don't want to acknowledge where the team completely falls apart. He's not good. Everything comes apart at the seams. So for me, I have Kirk Cousins in at quarterback 12 or 13, basically. In 6 point, I have him 12 above Daniel Jones, and 4 point, I have him 13 behind Daniel Jones.
It's
So,
fair ranking, but I
nothing
think
special
he
on
should
that
be
rank.
6 last year. He should be 6 last year and 6 point pass.
Yeah, I'm
scoring.
not. I think,
And there might be
this-
more pass attempts this year.
I have a bad feeling that there's going to be some regression in the whole overall offense this year. It's not going to be as good.
Is
I
he
don't
gonna
think
be
there's going to
down?
be as many total touchdowns.
Is he going to be down 30 points to the Colts at
No, no.
halftime again?
Oh God.
Is he going to be down 3 touchdowns to the Bills
Well, the
again?
Colts without Jonathan Taylor, I don't know.
I mean, teams are going to be putting up points against them, man. That defense is horrible. The defense is legit terrible. They're going to be.
I
one
do
of the worst
also
teams in the
have
league.
some concerns
These
that
are,
without
are
a
the
running
fantasy-
game.
Guys, like these are the fantasy offenses we want to target. We want to target offenses, great offenses with bad defenses, because they're going to have to keep scoring points, keep throwing the football, keep moving the ball down the field. That's what this offense is going to be, and they don't have a secure running game right now. All they are is a pass offense right now. Alexander Madison, not secure. The rest of their running backs, what the crap is going on? Like they are going to be a pass first offense. They have tons of weapons to do it. Like this is set up. Maybe the Vikings have a bad season overall as a team. I totally get what you're saying, Tyler, with the rebuilding thing. They could absolutely do that this year and have a bad season. So Kirk for MVP, I can see that it's very questionable.
Also,
but fantasy MVP?
now, it's important to note, last year, he was more inaccurate through a career high in interceptions, was not better in the touchdown department, set a multi-year low in yards per attempt, was sacked a record 46 times, and believe me, the offensive line was not better. Is not better now. So it has been, last year he was not great for real life. It was one of his worst years. So my concern with Kirk Cousins is, what if that is the trend of Kirk Cousins is in decline? It is possible that a 35-year-old is in decline. Not every quarterback holds up. It's not a given that every quarterback is great into their mid to late 30s. So I just have some concerns with Kirk Cousins. I think other players in that range for me have a little bit more upside. Tua for me on that list, because I think Tua showed that if he can stay on the field, he can stay on the field, that he has, he has one of the upside to be one of the best quarterbacks for fantasy. And he has, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, two more proven weapons than the second weapon
And
in
Devon
Minnesota.
out of the pass catching game could be really, really good as well.
So yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying that I'm a little concerned about the decline in real life performance from Kirk Cousins last year.
I get it. Yeah,
And
I
because
totally
of
get
that, I am just slightly concerned that disaster is in the range of outcomes. Whereas last year, I really didn't think it was.
Yeah, but his ADP kind of bakes that in a little bit. He's going as like quarterback 14, 15 off the board.
Oh,
If you take
It does.
in a one quarterback league, if you take that shot and it fails, like you could draft second quarterback.
just think
off on the waiver wire. Like
I think the
you'll be
shot is you
okay.
get quarterback 8.
Yeah,
He's
I don't. I don't think you have the
But
shot.
he wasn't in
maybe
points per game, though. He wasn't in points per game. He wasn't good. Last year was not better. The only reason he finished higher, and people are saying the same thing about Russell Wilson, and they're saying, oh, Russell Wilson finished quarterback 17. I believe he was quarterback 27 in points per game? Like, he was not actually better. Kirk Cousins was not better last year. He was not improved. He did not become some sort of improvement. He didn't improve in any category. So last year was not an improvement. The only reason why people think he's better is because the Vikings won a lot of games. But it wasn't because of him, to be honest with you.
Let me throw in Tom Brady's 2021 season. He threw for 5,300 yards, 40-plus passing touchdowns, and still only finishes a QB3 on the year.
Yeah.
QB scoring is so heavily inflated with rushing.
So last
that
year,
Kirk Cousins funnel, he can throw the ball 700 times this year and throw for that many yards.
Kirk Cousins
and he's
was
still going to struggle.
11th last year in fantasy points per game among quarterbacks who played 11 games or more, like the ones who didn't play just one game. 11th in fantasy points per game. So he was 11th last year. I'd say on the balance, I'm a little more concerned this year, so I have him at 13. And I think the upside's lower because he doesn't run. So for that reason, he's a little bit lower because I think the ceiling's not there. Like it is with someone like, obviously, Justin Fields or who's above him. Or even Deshaun Watson, who has the potential. He did run significantly more when he was playing well. There's a universe in which he becomes better. Like Deshaun Watson, I think, can be top 5. I do not think Kirk Cousins. Deshaun Watson could be there is a universe in which Deshaun Watson is a top 5 fantasy quarterback in points per game. I do not think the universe exists in which Kirk Cousins is a top 5 fantasy point per game quarterback. That universe to me doesn't exist. So that's why I'm a little lower on him, especially in a 1 QB league. I'm even lower because I just think I'm gunning for QB 8 at best in fantasy points per game. It's not. I'd almost rather take Anthony Richardson. I feel like I have a better chance and a miracle with him than Kirk Cousins. Superflex, I'd consider it more.
Yeah, Superflex makes it more enticing. It's your QB too, but I'm looking at this offense with the combination of a bad defense. It's just something you like to target in fantasy, and I'm in. But I totally get the worries though.
Kirk at the NFL level, yeah, underrated. Huh? Maybe. I think I don't think he's underrated in fantasy, actually. To be honest with you, I think people have come around. Patrick, you said you had a discussion. We just talked about him. Daniel Jones.
Currently going, I believe, at like QB 13 on ESPN.
Love this one.
I think his weapons get better. I really like the addition of Darren Waller. I think Darren Waller has upwards of a career year. I think that's a really high upside for him as a passer to actually have a good pass catcher for the kind of the first time in his career. It's his offense to run. They paid the man. Let's see him do it. He had 4 or 5 games last year where he was top 10 on the week. 3 weeks where he was top 3 or better. I think he has week winning upside. And if you're taking him as your QB2 on your team, there's nothing but upside there. And just in the same way that Hutch was mentioning with Kirk Cousins, if we're looking at a super flex league, I will happily have him as my QB2 on that team. If I'm in redraft, I can find someone else behind him. I can find a Brock Purdy that will help me survive. I can find a Tua. I can find a Derek Carr to just keep my team alive if Daniel Jones just completely sucks ass.
Where do you have him ranked?
I'd want him probably at 10 or 9, but I think as you let the draft fall to you, if teams are rushing at that quarterback position a little bit more, I'm fine waiting for him to where he's going to likely fall due to ADP.
Yeah, I have him at 13 with his rank, so
I think it's a fair ranking, but I think he outperforms it.
I mean, he finished QB9 last year with 15 passing touchdowns. If he gets some more with Darren Waller on the offense and gets some more there, like that could definitely help
there's
out.
a reality where Darren Waller gets 10 receiving touchdowns this year.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Early reports out of Giants camp were that they had to get Darren Waller off the field during first team reps so that Daniel Jones would target someone else. Do you remember the Derek Carr?
Real?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Did you?
Yeah,
do you remember? Like I think it was like Raiders, like week 1 2 years ago, where he got like 19 or 20 targets from Derek Carr because there was no one else for Derek Carr to throw to.
Yeah, I remember that game.
The Ravens.
I don't think we're going to see 20.
Yeah,
but I think there's going to be he's going to be seeing 10 to 13 targets. And Darren Waller is also my tight end that I brought up.
Baltimore in 2021, 19 targets, 10 receptions, 105 yards, and a touchdown.
If you're getting, I'm just going to go to my tight end take. If we're seeing a tight end at Darren Waller falling to tight end 5-6, I'm smashing that. I think gives you the opportunity for top 2 in the league.
I moved Darren Waller up from 7 to 5.
Yeah, I've been coming around Darren Waller.
Keep going.
I might.
Around him.
I might. I mean, I don't have any. Do
you have Kittle ahead of him?
I do.
Why?
Because Darren Waller hasn't actually delivered in a long time.
It's been a couple years.
So just because he can deliver in camp doesn't mean he's going to deliver in an actual NFL game. That's part of the problem. So I don't think
Kittle has nowhere near the upside though. You said that on multiple occasions. I think
he doesn't. But I'm not sure what the upside for Darren Waller really is. The thing with
1,208 touchdowns.
Why? That would be a lot. I find that hard to believe.
I find that.
I think I just see the upside of Darren Waller is lower.
Yeah, that would be like 35-ish% of Daniel Jones' passing yards last year if you were to get that.
I also moved Kyle Pitts and Dallas
that'd
Goedert
be that'd be unsustainable. That's
Kyle Pitts,
you'd be surprised.
Doesn't look healthy. And Dallas Goedert, I just feel like Dallas Goedert needs an injury more than Darren Waller.
Yeah. Darren Waller doesn't need an injury.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I have Darren Waller higher.
Okay. I was misunderstanding what you were saying. But yeah,
George Kittle,
I like the path to production for Darren Waller above every other tight end not named Kelsey.
George Kittle does have the ceiling. It just would have to come in the same way that it came last year, which is unlikely. But it happened once, so it is possible. Dallas Goedert only has a ceiling if people get hurt. There is no ceiling for Dallas Goedert without the injuries. Kyle Pitts, I moved down because he doesn't look healthy. So in redraft, I have to lower him if he doesn't look healthy. We're getting close to the season. Now, I want to just say one more thing about your Daniel Jones take, because I think we're pretty much all in agreement that Darren Waller is moving up at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Your Daniel Jones take, my one issue, and the reason I don't have him higher, is because last year was an outlier in terms of running. 7 rushing touchdowns when he only had 5 combined in his previous 3 seasons. And additionally, a career high in yards per game and almost double the rushing attempts. Could it happen again? Yes.
It could be a new trend for him. I mean, we just saw a new coach come in. They still have, even though they added Darren Waller, they still have a very limited receiving core. The offensive line isn't the best. But
it's not the worst receiving core ever, like it was last year.
We've got the OC. We have the OC from Buffalo that started to unleash Josh Allen coming in, helping Daniel Jones. We saw Daniel Jones's breakout speed. As funny as a meme as it became, he's got top end speed.
He does, man. I'll
just say that.
And I noticed a lot more designed runs last year. I watched him in the Giants games. There were a few more design runs that I saw for Daniel Jones, which was interesting.
I'll just say that I think that last year's rushing output was his ceiling. So
I agree. Yeah.
Yes,
I don't know how much higher.
He'll probably have to succeed more as a passer. I don't know if he can actually do it.
I think he can. Yeah.
So that's why I have him at 13 and not 10.
Okay.
But I do think the rushing floor is there. He's not going to go to 0.
No.
But if he goes down to 500 rushing yards and only the real thing is not the yards, it's the touchdowns. 7 rushing touchdowns is a lot. For a quarterback, that's a lot. He could easily have only 3. and then it's tough.
I think he took advantage of teams keying on Saquon in the
He
same
did.
way Ryan Tannehill did the same thing previously
Derrick
for
Henry.
Tennessee for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping he does it again, but touchdowns aren't super sticky, and 7's a lot on the number of touches he had. So that's my main issues more in the rushing touchdown department.
I did like that he reduced his turnovers.
That's
last year.
yeah.
Last year, this year, and then also same with the fumbles. He cleaned that up from where he was at early.
I mean, he's someone I like because I don't think he's going to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see. What else do we want to get to? Geno Smith, Patrick.
Geno Smith. I mean, if we're going to talk last year's top 5 quarterback, why not mention Geno Smith? He just got another first-round wide receiver weapon. We got JSN going out there with DK Metcalf, who for some people used to be the wide receiver 1 in Dynasty. Super talented, big body guy. You still got Tyler Lockett out there. You've got salvageable tight ends, and you've got a running game right now that's banged up.
He was also he was 8th in quarterback points per game, and he was only 0.5 better than Kirk Cousins. It was a very tight range from there were 3 guys that were Hurts, Mahomes, and Allen were way ahead of everyone else. Then Burrow, Fields, and Lamar were kind of a mini tier, and then there was a huge group that was very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
So he was still in that kind of middling group. But I do like him, and I will say that Jackson Smith and Jigba could change his fortunes, and he could be even better. That's something I think people aren't taking into account. He has a chance to be better than last year, but I do have Geno Smith at 15.
Yeah, this team was 15th in pass attempts last year. If Jackson Smith and Jigba is really that dude, and the run game is injured, they could jump into the top 10 in pass attempts. Geno Smith could really take that step, and then they could be a really, really good offense next year in terms of the passing game. And that would be huge for Geno. Huge for Geno. The only thing that concerned me a little bit with Geno, we did see, he did fall down a little bit towards the end of the season. There was a clear bit of a drop-off for fantasy. I mean, he wasn't as elite as he was in, the first, few weeks of the season. You see, looking at his game log, in the first handful of weeks, you see QB7, QB2, QB4. And then from week 6 on, he only had 3 top 10 finishes for fantasy points among the quarterback position. But I'm still in on Geno Smith as well. I think with Jackson Jigba on that offense, especially now with the running back started, it's really, really intriguing.
It's just tough. I have Geno Smith at 15. It feels low, but I look at the rankings and I wouldn't change it.
It's tough.
If for Geno, someone I would look to target if I just completely wait on quarterback and then someone's
Dart throw.
It's a dart throw.
My ranks are so chalky.
But also, I like with this comment, Watson and Fields do have a higher ceiling. If I grab someone like Watson or Fields in the 9th or 10th round, I'm okay with Geno being my safety net.
This is also not true though. Justin Fields has no. If Justin Fields is playing, Justin Fields will be excellent for fantasy.
Watson, you could see it.
Disaster. Watson has
be a disaster.
Very big possibility of disaster, but Justin Fields.
Yeah, no, Justin Fields doesn't. Yeah, the running quarterback just gives him
as long
everything.
as he's playing, he's going to be a top 10 quarterback because he's going to run for that amount of the amount of rushing yards. There's no downside to Justin Fields. The downside is that he's not very good this year and is replaced in Dynasty, but actually on the field, there is no fantasy downside to Justin Fields. He's not going to be benched in the middle of the season. I don't think. I find that hard to believe.
Hutch, do you have anything to say? I know you're got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Talk about your Trey McBride before you go.
Trey McBride. Yeah, I did want to give a shout out to Trey McBride. I mean, remember, we obviously he is dealing with an injury now, so obviously it concerns him a little bit. But remember, this is a tight end with over 1,100 yards in a single college season. He also did flash. What?
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, 1,100 yards as a tight end. That's unheard of. Unheard of at the tight end position.
More than Brock Bowers in either of his 2 years.
Or Kyle Pitts.
That's true.
And but the thing is that he flashed a bit as a rookie, especially I watched specifically his film against the Cardinals. That was his biggest game he is the Cardinal. His game against the Falcons last season. He had a really nice game in that game. That was his biggest game of the season. Watch his film there. He looks really good. Really good route runner. Gets open. He's quick. I mean, this dude ran I believe it was like a 4.54 40-yard dash. He's a pretty athletic tight end. He can make plays with the ball in his hands. And this year, outside of Marquise Brown, there's very little target competition. Very little target competition for Trey McBride. And this offense is concerning because the quarterback situation might not be right, but it might take a bit. But when Kyler Murray's in the field, he could easily be the number 2 right next to Marquise Brown and be a really good piece in this offense. I'm just taking a shot at an athletic tight end who's in a solid offense. And his ADP is ridiculous. Like, he's not going as the tight end 15. He's not going as a borderline tight end 1. He's going outside the top 24 tight ends in most drafts.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I could not find him on ESPN's ADP.
It's ridiculous. He's gone.
I have him at 19.
He's gone.
I have him at 19.
It's fair. But he's just gone in ADP. He's completely.
I have him at 19 because the Cardinals are a dumpster fire.
They are a dumpster fire.
If they don't if Kyler Murray doesn't play, he's not going to be top 12.
No, that's very fair.
I don't think Kyler Murray's going to play anytime soon. And I think that it's more likely that Trey McBride is outside of the top 20. The reason that he is so high, I have him at 19, is just because there's a chance that Kyler Murray comes back earlier than we expect and that he outperforms. But Trey McBride's not someone I'm really looking to draft in redraft. In Dynasty, I'm more interested because
Dynasty, I'm more intrigued as well than redraft.
Dynasty, I'm more intrigued because I think there's a world where he flashes this year, flashes something good, and then has has Caleb Williams next year somehow. And then,
third year.
Has that going for him. But in redraft, I'm not that interested.
That's very fair, yeah. But I just like the second-year tight end with 1,100 yard college season. I mean, because all the risk you're talking about, you're taking him nowhere. He's barely drafted in home leagues.
I just think he'll end up being cut. You're just not gonna be able to play him. You're not gonna be able to play him.
Probably.
You're not gonna be able to play him until Kyler Murray. Without Kyler Murray, you can't play him. So if Kyler Murray's not playing week 1, I'm not gonna draft Trey McBride. The only format I would draft Trey McBride isn't something like Scott Fishbowl where I have 22 roster spots and playing for the whole season. Then I might draft Trey McBride. But in a regular redraft, I have zero interest in Trey McBride. I just can't wait on a tight end for 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's tough to do that. Yeah. I see.
I do like him. I do like him for Dynasty because in Dynasty I can wait.
He's such a big buy.
He's young. I can wait in Dynasty for years on a tight end. I like him, but I agree with everything you're saying long term.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, I do got to pop out, but Tyler, it was a pleasure joining you on the show. I should be here next week, so I'll see you guys.
Make sure to check out Hooked on Fantasy.
Yeah, Hooked on Fantasy.
Me
and Luke Sawhook have our podcast, Hooked on Fantasy. It live streamed Monday nights on his Twitter, and then it posts on as a podcast Tuesday morning. So a new episode's out. We were talking with Mike Reedy, and we were talking about training camp hype. It was a great episode. It was a great episode. We were talking about. Thank you, man. We were talking about training camp hype, who's getting the hype, and then we talked about some Jonathan Taylor news as well. It was really fun talking with Mike. He's good. All right. We'll see y'all.
Peace.
All right. Ryan, you had some things.
I had some things, indeed.
Let's talk about your Kyler Murray take.
Look, I think he's playing for his job this year. This is just off speculation. I think Arizona is the worst team in the league. I think they grabbed Caleb Williams. They have 2 chances at Caleb Williams, not 1. They got 2. They have Houston's first as well. So I think Kyler Murray is going to be ready sooner than anticipated. And if you draft him at quarterback 20, which is going on underdog right now, I think he can have a little bit of value. I know his rushing's kind of scary, but I think that offense is going to have to move mountains to even do decent. So I could see him finishing as a low end QB1 potentially. No.
Yeah. No.
If he plays,
he's not going to play. That's the problem. What I've heard from
I wrote this last night, and then I saw Clayton Tune today, and I'm like, well, dang.
What I've heard from the people that I trust is that Kyler Murray, there's no chance he's going to play in the first 6 weeks. So I'm just out.
I'm concerned with the mobility, even if he does come back and say week 7.
And that was also talked about by that same Twitter doctor.
Is what happens then in terms of he's not returning you top 8 fantasy QB points per game without the mobility.
So
and I don't think with the current weapons or lack of mobility that he can do that.
So yeah, while I would love that, he's not going to play, so it's not going to matter. And then what about Matthew Stafford?
Oh, see, this is a bounce back from injury. I'm buying it. It's one bad season. I feel like this is kind of Hutch's take because like the Rams are going to be bad. They just traded Jalen Ramsey. Like they're retooling the roster. Cooper Kupp's back. I know the wide receiver depth behind Cooper Kupp it's ugly, but Tyler Higbee's back. I just think Matthew Stafford's going to have a decent season. I'm not expecting him to shatter records or anything or post high-end QB numbers. I'm expecting him to be a value at his ADP. He's one of the lower end QBs in drafts right now. Like I'm perfectly taking a risk on what he was and just hope last year was an anomaly.
Yeah, maybe.
It's one of those things where I'm not trying to like say he's gonna finish as like QB 10 or 12 or anything like that. Like I could see like a QB 15 finish and I'd be okay with that.
I could see that. I do think that if he's really healthy and gets back to his pre-injury form, that he will beat his ADP, but it's not that interesting in drafting him. I do think the upside is like quarterback 15, what you said. That's just not exciting. So, but I do think he could be a value because his contract is like ironclad through 2025. So
they told him to get out of that. They said, "Hey, you want to make some changes?"
Right.
He's like,
no.
"Nah, fam, nah. Yeah. I like my cash."
You see, he saw what they did to Jared Goff's contract, and he's like, "Trade me. You have to go ahead and trade me. I'm going to make that money."
You want to get back to some of the chat stuff, Patrick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we had some love for Kirk Cousins in the chat, and some good, healthy disagreements on some of our.
Yeah, they're wrong. They're wrong.
And I think most of our points were against Kirk Cousins being a fantasy MVP or MVP of the league.
But they're also just incorrect that last year was one of his best years. They're wrong. You can go look at the numbers. Career high in interceptions, career high in sacks, multi-year low in yards per attempt, multi-year low in completion percentage. So they're just wrong. Sorry.
So is Dalton Kincaid at this point a sell high in Dynasty? For example, a Kincaid for a 2024 first round pick. I have reservations that he will be featured when Knox is there and many other weapons.
Ooh, I disagree. He's buy low. He's not low.
Yep. I would say at this point, what are you
buy high then?
If you are selling Dalton Kincaid for a 2024 random first round pick, what is your upside? What are you winning? You paid a 2020.
You could win something.
You sent a 2023. You paid a 2023 first for him, and now you're getting just another 2024.
Oh, there were leagues
first.
He went in the second. There were leagues he went in the second. Not many, not any I was in, but there were leagues he went in the second, which I think is dumb, but it's what there were.
But still, like that's the kind of talk that we're having here. Of sure, you're winning a little bit, and you're hoping for a better draft.
There's absolutely upside, right? I mean, if you turn Dalton Kincaid into Caleb Williams in a super flex, there is upside. No,
yeah.
I mean, to Marvin Harrison Jr., there is upside.
Brock Bowers.
Really, what is a 20?
Brock Bowers, yes. Brock Bowers is way better than Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, but you're taking a low percentage odds there.
But this is what I would need. I mean, I would need a 2024 first at a minimum.
Yeah, I feel like,
and then we'll see. Depends on where that first is going to land. That's what I would need, though. I don't see Dalton Kincaid as a sell high.
2024 first and Laporta.
Oh, I'll take first and Laporta. I like Laporta a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
He's also a buy high to me, actually.
The first and Mayer.
Oh, first and Mayer. You can't get that done anywhere though.
I'm trying to think of where that line kind of is. Random 2024 first and Devon A-Chain.
First and A-Chain. He's not worth that much. Like when I'm saying but I don't think you can do this. I don't think you can do any of those things. I don't think people are running to add a 20 after what happened with Kyle Pitts. Mm-hmm. I don't think people are running to add to a 2024 first for a tight end they've never seen.
Just wait till
I don't
he
think you
has
can do that.
9 catches in week 1.
I've seen more deals with Kincaid going low than I have with him going high.
Yep.
Like I've seen deals where I'm in on the buy price.
I've got a rookie draft coming up in 2 weeks for my home league. For some reason, they insist on doing middle of August. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. But I have a chance to potentially trade up into like the 107, 108 spot. I'm like, if I can get Dalton Kincaid there, I can pay.
I think a better way to think about this is if you can turn George Kittle into Dalton Kincaid plus, you can still do that in places. I would do it while you still can.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Pat Freiermuth into Dalton Kincaid, I would definitely do.
Who would you pick with the 5th pick, PPR league?
One QB?
One QB. Just, I'm guessing a redraft.
Cooper,
a
Travis
redraft.
Kelce, whoever falls.
Okay. Well, Travis Kelce will probably be gone. Jefferson and Chase will be gone. So
McCaffrey, probably too.
McCaffrey. So maybe it's PPR, then maybe Eckler. Lamb. Probably Eckler.
Chase?
Well, Chase, I assume, would be gone.
We said, I think, 5 or 6 names that are going to be gone.
I said Kelce, Jefferson, Chase, and McCaffrey. I thought would be the first
Hill.
Gone. Well, Hill wouldn't be there for me.
I'm seeing a lot of Hill in that top 5 for people.
And I'd take Chase.
So,
yeah,
whoever's falling out of that tier of that top tier wide receivers.
We also never did this one. Which is interesting.
Sorry, I got bumped ahead. Great job, guys. Your take on Khalil Herbert. Is he a starter? Should you trade him? Should you trade for him?
He's the starter, but I don't want to trade for him, if that helps. Like, he's the starter, and the Bears back that I have ranked the highest in that backfield, but I have him at running back 35. And that's probably too high.
Feels way too high.
I think I agree there, and I think that if someone believes that he is the actual starter and is going to maintain the workload throughout the season, you can get a lot for him from that person. And I'd go ahead and sell that. I'm not going into the season with Herbert and waiting for him to lose to the role.
The Bears 2024 starting running back is not currently
employed. Did they get the Panthers second in that deal for this upcoming year?
I think so.
Whether they did or didn't.
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
I stand by the idea that the Bears 2024 running back is not employed currently by the Bears.
It was a 2025 second still.
Yeah. I'm not really focused on that. I just don't, no matter what, I think any of these guys are their starter next year.
I agree. I just wanted to, if they had an extra second, it would increase the probability, like, to almost a certainty. I still think it's very likely.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that could be in line for a free agent of some kind. Tony Pollard, specifically.
Depending on how the class pans out, how a couple...
Yeah, Josh Jacobs.
True.
They're a team that a running team could invest in a running back. Absolutely.
They're going to have the money next year, aren't they?
Yes, that's why they're on top of my list for free agent running backs. So, of all the teams, a team built around Justin Fields makes one of the most sense for a free agent.
So back to does JT play for sure?
Nothing is for sure, right? I mean, if you're asking me for sure, I'm going to say no.
I mean, JT could play, all 17 games, and I'd still be on the Pollard side. Like,
I think I have to take the Pollards. In one QB, I think I'd stick with JT. In Superflex, it's too risky. I'll take the Pollard side.
Yeah.
Patrick, one of yours was about Dalton Kincaid, and you definitely don't agree with me. So why don't you talk about your take?
My take.
Yes, your take.
I completely forgot. It's been a couple days since I wrote that. Dalton Kincaid in redraft. I think he's slightly overvalued at this point, and will lead to him being one of the first waiver wire ad shortly into the season. I think people aren't going to have the patience needed for Colton Kincaid in redraft. I think you might be disappointed the first couple of weeks. He's going to get dropped, and then he's going to get re-added and be one of the main waiver wire ads. I don't see him going and being productive right away week 1 enough to secure a consistent starting spot in redraft leagues where teams don't carry more than one tight end.
Well, I have him at tight end 11 in redraft, so I don't agree.
What are you going to do about it? You going to tell me I'm wrong?
Yeah, I think you're wrong.
Okay. Well, why am I wrong?
Why are you wrong?
Why am I wrong?
Why? Because I think he's going to have a role immediately. I just disagree. I think that he is going to have a receiving role as of week 1. The way I see it is that the Bills are going to use more 12 personnel this year, and they don't really have a wide receiver 3. I mean, their wide receiver 3 is Khalil Shakir, who is not good, or Justin Shorter, who is a rookie and also not good. So I think that they're going to use more 12 personnel. But what I have heard from Bills camp is that Dalton Kincaid is never leaving the field from their first team offense, no matter what. He's being deployed in multiple different avenues, both as a second tight end and as a slot receiver. I think makes sense. That's what you drafted him for. And I think he's going to have a receiving role. Now, is he going to have a lot of volume week 1? Probably not. Is he going to be involved in the offense and maybe make a couple of flashy plays? Yes. Will that mean that he's going to stay on rosters all year? Yes. Am I going to rank him tight end 11 week 1? Probably not. But am I going to rank him 20 week 1? Probably not. I'm probably going to rank him around in my week 1 start sit 15 to 17. And, in a regular redraft, would he be my choice? Maybe not, because you have to hang on to him all year. But in that range, if I don't get one of the top tight ends, I think I have to draft 2. So I'm okay with him being one of my 2.
I think I can fully agree with you because I think that our differences there and how I view him coming out as a waiver wire ad still leads to him producing at that QB11 ADP.
Tight end 11.
Tight end 11.
But yeah, I just don't think he'll ever hit waivers is my thing.
And I think there's a lot of impatience, especially for those that are waiting that long to draft a tight end. Those are the same people that stream tight ends weekly and are ad dropping tight ends.
I think tight ends are so bad that it's become more in vogue to keep 2 in a regular league. Usually, I used to be, I saw fewer tight ends rostered, but now I usually see around 20 rostered.
And that may be a blind spot of my own as I don't play as much redraft as I used to.
Things have changed. So I think that's a big change over the last few years because tight end as a whole has gotten so weak that if you can keep 2 in platoon or play matchups or try to keep 2 at least until the bye weeks start, then you might have to make tough choices. But early on, you really want to, because hitting on tight end is so valuable.
Oh,
if you can hit on tight end and not have paid for it, those are the league winners. Like your Mark Andrews year 2, George Kittle his year 2.
And that's one of the reasons why I'm okay with taking someone like Darren Waller in the 4th, 5th round, because I think he's got that game-winning upside.
Yeah, for me, it has to be a value. So it's kind of like when Darren Waller was in the 7th, it was a value. If Darren Waller's in the 4th or 5th, with his ceiling, I'm not sure Darren Waller's going to win you anything from the 4th or 5th. That's the thing. Like, I'm now, given where the ADPs are settling, it's Kelsey, Andrews, or that middle tier is just all hands off to me. They're all too high for what they can deliver. It's the bottom tier has the players I like. Specifically, the 2 that I like are Pat Freiermuth and Dalton Kincaid. Those are my 2 favorite. Those are the 2 I'm the highest on compared to their ADP. I'd rather take Freiermuth in the 11th, 10th than Waller in the 4th. Just given what I'm giving up. But what I would really like to do is take Kelsey in the 1st. That's what I'd really like to do. That's my favorite. Andrews in the 2nd is really good too. That's actually really good. Those are my 2 favorite. But if I can't have those, I go to the bottom. So it's elite or bust for me at tight end this year mostly. I'm noticing.
Yeah.
With on the bust end, Kincaid was Chigakonkwo, less so now. So instead of Chigakonkwo, a Dulcich and Laporta Dulcich more so now with Patrick out, Tim Patrick out. And Laporta also on my list because he's even cheaper than Kincaid. A lot cheaper. And I think he has some upside as well. What about Taysom Hill, Ryan?
Oh, come on. It feels like a tradition now where Taysom Hill gets undervalued and then they throw him in, God knows doing what, catching passes, sometimes throwing the ball, running the ball. He's going to outscore his ADP. Like, I know Derek Carr's there and I know Sean Payne's not there, but they still used Taysom Hill last year. So I think it's one of those
I do
things.
think he's undervalued because people don't like him. I only have him at 25, and I do think that this year is different. This year is different because they actually have other running backs other than Alvin Kamara.
True.
Other running backs you're not going to get a situation where there are no running backs. You have 3 running backs now who are all good. 3 running backs. You have not just Juwan Johnson. You also have Foster Moreau, who is a friend of Derek Carr. I just don't see and for some reason, Jimmy Graham. I don't see, and there's more depth at wide receiver now. You have more depth. Chris Olave is the number 1. Michael Thomas, as of now, is healthy. Let's see how long that lasts. But Rashid Shaheed is not a slouch. Rashid Shaheed is actually good. I just don't see the same role as being available because of the running back depth, especially, but also Foster Moreau for me at tight end is a big blocker in Taysom Hill's value because I just feel like Derek Carr likes him better than he does Taysom Hill. So for me, Taysom Hill, I think, is going to have a much smaller role this year. But I do think that in something like Scott Fishbowl, where he was ranked ADP-wise, like in the 30s, I had him at 25. I think a slight value, but I still don't see it being what it was.
How much money is this man making this year?
Too much. Oh, my God.
And that's why running backs can't get
They got to give him the ball. They got to give him the rock. Justify it.
Taysom Hill's contract is so insane.
They can't get out of that till next year.
I know. He has a dead cap of 16 million next year.
It's basically 17. It's 16.
Yeah. Oh, actually, it'll be 18 and a half once it guarantees on the 3rd league day of the league year. And then even 2025, it's 11 million.
His agent needs a raise.
His agent did so well. But
wow,
unfortunately, I just don't see the same role based on the whole new offense and the way everything's constructed. But he could prove me wrong. He's also 33. Yeah. He's not a growing asset. He's not young.
No, I just feel like in redraft he's just gonna outperform his ADP like usual. Like they're gonna give him the ball to justify his salary. The Saints feel like a kind of team to do that. And I know Jamal Williams was gonna steal goal line touches this time around, but I still think they're gonna get Taysom.
That's gonna change things.
Yeah, I think it's going to change things too, but I still think Taysom Hill's going to be a valuable piece of this offense because they want to make it that way, honestly. Unless they're competing the second. I can't say that. Never mind.
Brian, is this your best ball brain?
Yeah,
I feel like
Taysom Hill has not had more than 10 receptions in any of the last 3 years, so his value is going to come on the ground. And last year he had 96 carries, and I don't think he has anywhere near that.
You never know. Week one will be very telling.
Also, last year he only had 19 passing attempts.
Feels like a lot more.
Yeah. So the previous 2 years he had over 100.
It's one of those things.
Did he have more passing attempts than Trey Lance?
I think so. I honestly think so.
All right.
I think they're gonna put him on the field somehow. And week 1 is gonna be extremely telling. If he doesn't get on the field week 1, it's over. I wasted that picking best ball, but
I think I'm good on Taysom Hill this year.
Oh, Trey Lance at 31.
I was out the past 3 years, so now I'm in, and now he's just not gonna get on the field.
Yep. I'm out this year. And then last thing, the Patriots offense and tight end situation. So Mike Gesicki has not impressed the coaching staff.
What could have been?
Hunter Henry is their starter, as much as I don't like it. But it's going to be this is going to be one of the worst offenses in the league again.
And I'm still buying. It's kind of weird.
I I mean, it's so bad. I have Juju at wide receiver 46, Hunter Henry at tight end 29, Mike Gesicki at tight end 30, and I don't have another. I have Devontae Parker at wide receiver 78. So
this feels like how you ranked the Packers offense going into last season.
No, I had them better off, I think, than this.
Yeah,
but I just remember like no one higher than like Lazard at like 47, and tight ends was like no one. We were thinking nothing of. Well, I can't even think of my own Packers name. Tunyon, who's now a nobody on the Bears.
I'm not. The main point of this, to wrap up the tight end discussion, is Mike Gesicki's off my list of late round tight ends. I'd rather take someone else, like Irv Smith or Michael Meyer or Trey McBride, even that Hutch was talking about, Juwan Johnson, Jelani Woods, even Luke Musgrave. I'd rather take anyone else. Taysom Hill. Not Mike Gesicki. Mike
Taysom Hill could be a maybe.
Just because there's two of them and both of them are bad, you're not going to be able to start either tight end. The Mike Gesicki breakout dream is over. Hunter Henry is the starter. Mike Gesicki's a better receiver, but Hunter Henry's the starter.
I think
you're not going to be able to use either one.
I think that New England offense is going to be better than you expect, and by better than you expect, I mean like 21st in points per game instead of like 28th. Catch the drift?
You know how you know it's bad? It's bad because their roster projection only projects them to keep 4 wide receivers. That's how much they pass. They're going to keep 4 wide receivers.
Kayshon Boutte, what went wrong, man?
Kayshon Boutte is going to get.
What went wrong?
Ankle injuries.
Other things, but yeah.
We live in a world now where Justin Ross has more dynasty value than Kayshon Boutte, and I love it. But yeah,
life comes at you fast.
We completed my show sheet. Thanks to all the co-hosts. Yes, it is. Well, we didn't complete all the news, but we completed all the stuff I put on the show sheet about the topics, the Jonathan Taylor and the redraft stuff. So I want to thank everyone for watching. And thanks to the co-host for doing all the hard work on the show sheet. And next week we'll see what we do next week. I don't know. We might do a mock draft if we find a good way to do it. If not, we'll have some more redraft discussion, discuss news. I'm sure there'll be a lot of news.
Hall of Fame game. We could talk about the Hall of Fame game.
We'll talk about that.
I can't wait till Zach Wilson, shows out or absolutely does nothing. So like,
we'll talk about that.
I need someone like Josh Jacobs to get snaps again, like they did last year.
Well, Zach Wilson will play.
Breece Hall.
Breece Hall, you're on the pup. Let's get out there.
But yeah, until next time, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to sign up for the Patreon if you want to support the YouTube channel and my other content. Don't forget to watch this Ask Tyler video. And all my shorts on the channel. I did one on Cole Kmet, another one on Deneric Prince. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.